a podcast filled with conversation and curiosity sparked by Utica Community Schools. This is UCS Podcademy.
Hello and welcome to UCS Podcademy. I'm your host, Mekhi Kattula, a junior at Eisenhower High School, and today we are going to be covering one of the newest specialty programs here in Utica Community Schools. That is the Utica High School Academy for Health and Human Services, also known as HHS. To talk further about this topic, we have our two guests here today. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, thank you, Mekhi. My name is Tim Youngblood, principal at Utica High School.
I'm Jeremy Kranzo, associate principal at Utica High School.
Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to start off with one of my first questions. So other than the HHS program, what other programs are there offered in UCS?
UCS has been going to a model where there's programs offered for everybody. In being in education for the last 24 years for myself and having 4 kids of my own, we've realized that all kids have all different avenues of interest. My own kids have varying interests themselves. So what UCS is trying to provide is the ability for kids to explore those deeper, whether it's math or science or art, what have you. There's a variety for everybody, manufacturing, and for us, and what we're going to talk about today is the health programs.
Now, what is HHS?
HHS is a program that's designed, it's going to be geared towards the health sector. And it's a program, we have a strong program at Utica High School already with our health classes. So we decided, a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, we started this process and we started to walk down the road thinking that health is going to be a program that we could try to get our students prepared to enter into the workforce. And there's lots of opportunities for that. So it's going to be giving them the skills to be able to segue into health careers.
Now, why was this program created?
Again, kind of going back to the idea that when we were looking at in Utica Community Schools, they're trying to walk down the road of bringing some academies into all of the high schools. So with our strong health program we already had, it seemed natural to kind of go in that direction. And through that process, what we really learned is, everyone saw how important health professionals were. So it became very apparent to us that this is a direction we need to continue to walk down. So we feel with talking to some different partners and family members and just people that we have connections with about the importance of walking in this direction. The hope is that we can, put our students in a position to be successful in the future.
Mekhi, just to jump in a little further too, what UCS has been doing, we've been looking into job outlooks and going through reports from Macomb County, the state, national, and what the needs are. And what we're trying to do is work with partnerships within the community to try to get our kids options. And that's, at the end of the day, it's all about options. Whether a kid wants to go to U of M or into the workforce right from the beginning. And we're trying to fulfill those openings and giving our kids the best options for their future so they have choices. And if the choice happens to be to go into the medical field right out of high school, they're employable right from the get-go. If not, we're going to give them a great education to get ready for college. And that's the same, with the Mekhi Academy, with MSD, CSI, for the other specialty programs that we do have here. So that's really the driving force is to try to reach as many kids as possible.
Right. But now with a lot of kids, you need a wide variety of options because everybody has their own interests in different things. So you need to accommodate everyone.
And that's the thing that we really like about our academy is we have all the way from looking at public safety and EMTs all the way to looking at doctors and everything in between there with medical, the different jobs that are in the medical field. So we feel like we're going to be in a position to help our students, in the future.
Right. Now, what are some goals that you hope to achieve with this program?
Well, I think, like Mr. Kranzo was saying, we have the public safety, we have the rehab services, or the therapeutic and rehab. Our goals are basically to work with partnerships with our community, whether it's Shelby Township Fire, Sterling Heights, or work with Beaumont, or places such as that. We're working in talks with them, trying to provide kids opportunities to get there, to be employed, to work in there. At the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to give them, like I said before, as many options as they can have. And in the model that we have in the academies, it's different than just taking classes towards it. And as a parent, what I love about these academies the model for that is these kids, this group of 90 that we're looking for, will stay together with the same teachers. These teachers plan together, the English, the math, science, social studies, they're working together in unison for every single unit, every week, every day of the school year. And then the kids are going to know those teachers very, very well. Because Mekhi, as a high school student,
Right.
how many different high school teachers you get and change over the semester, 165 potentially. And at the change of a semester, you might get a different 50, 60, 70 kids. So it's really hard to really know the kids really that deeply. In this model, the academy model, those core teachers are going to know those 90 kids and those families very well over the 4 years. And again, going back to as a parent, who wouldn't want that? I want the teachers of my kids to really know my kids, not just know their name, just not know, what their grades are, know who they are as a person.
Mhm.
And that's part of the goal too. It's not just about the medical. It's not about just the academics. It's about the wellness. It's about knowing our kids and our kids feeling comfortable and having those adults in their lives.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it allows these students to be part of this and look at the possibility of going down this road as a career, but also being a part of the family, and that they're going to be a family 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and they're going to be the same group, students, same teachers. So at the end of the day, what the nice thing is those students are going to be known. They're not going to get lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for that.
Right. In Utica High School, we're renowned for that. We're renowned for that family, that culture, where it feels like a small town school. We're in the downtown area. It's the oldest building, the oldest high school in the district. It's a smaller community feeling.
Right. And I feel like it's very important to have a close relationship with your teacher, because I feel like that's how you work best with them. You have to know the way your teacher teaches. You have to know, you guys just have to have a close relationship.
Yeah. Mekhi, as a student yourself, the teachers that you learn from the most are the ones you feel most connected to. Right.
Yeah.
And the ones that you feel like you don't want to disappoint them. And that's connections are big. And I think this is a big part of that. And the academy model really helps that.
I think the other piece too is when you have that connection with the teacher, if you're doing something and you need, critiquing, it also helps you because you have a connection with that teacher. So when they say something to you, it's coming from a place of, genuine caring. So, it allows you to become a better person, a better student as well.
Right. Now, what career paths will this program help future graduates work towards pursuing?
So when we have like the three, essentially what there is are three majors. So in the 9th and 10th grade year, students take like academy classes. They take their math, science, social studies, and English, and they have an academy class. Their freshman year, that class is kind of like a team building, activity class to kind of go through the process. But there's also a lot of what we think are some really cool different lessons that are going to take place in that class. Sophomore year, they're going to get a rotation into the three majors. And then when they become an 11th grader, they pick a major. So there's a public safety branch, and that's looking at, like, they could go into being EMT, looking at fire, possibility of like some public service, like because some of our areas around us for like law enforcement, you're a public service officer, public safety officer. So that would allow them to have some exposure to that. We also have therapeutic is another major, and that would be like your nurses, your physician's assistants, nursing assistant, doctor, and then we have rehabilitation, which would be your physical therapist, occupational therapist, sports medicine, things of that nature as well. So
athletic trainers. Yep.
And the nice thing for this is, through all of those, I think everyone can look at that and they can visualize what those jobs are, and it's a huge range. So a lot of students, I think there's at some point there's going to be something in there that they might be interested in and get excited about.
And another thing, Mekhi, is sometimes when people go into college and they go through majors because they don't really know. So a lot of times people go to their fourth year of college and they're going through it's something they think they want to do, and they go and they spend a lot of money and they get to it and it's not. And then what? They have to start over. So this is a way that they can explore the science field, the medical field here in high school. And like, for example, if you were enrolled in that and you came into it in your third year and you're like, I think I want to be a doctor, and you get into the fourth year in high school and you're like, no, this is not for me. Well, now that's good. It doesn't mean you have to go into the medical field. It's an exploratory. We think some of the kids who may have an interest in these fields, and they may, after a couple of years, may not want that. But I think it's valuable to also learn that now rather than you're spending a lot of money in college. Right?
And the big thing to kind of go along with that is, we understand we're asking, eighth graders to project what they want to do for the rest of their life. And I know when I was in eighth grade, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. I mean, everyone has different aspirations, what they want to do.
Right.
And that's one of those pieces. As you grow up, your interests change. So the big piece that we've also put into this is, even if you don't want to go into medical, the skills you're going to learn in this program are going to translate to all professions. The different soft skills, the team building. A big piece we're trying to do is like grit, because we want our kids to be able to push through when they come up to like obstacles in the way and be able to get around them and maneuver through them. Because in life that happens. And so even if you decide you don't want to go into medical, this program's still going to benefit you in a big way.
Right. I feel like careers are a very important decision, and it's great to like take time and figure out what you want to be and explore. I think that's very important.
Yeah. I wanted to be a pilot after watching Top Gun in 8th grade, but then I was afraid of heights, so that kind of eliminated that.
How is the curriculum in HHS different from a regular classroom?
So the state standards are going to remain the same. The approach is going to be different. So when we go back to that team approach, when the 9th grade English 9, history class, science or biology class, and an algebra 1, and the math. So what they'll do is they'll plan together. So for example, if we're working on the heart, for example, they're in the science part, they're talking about the physiology, the principles of biomedical science. That portion, they're talking about that part of the anatomy. Well, the English teacher is going to try to tie in. So it might be a loose tie-in, but they're trying to plan it together. So if they're doing, maybe they'll read a Frankenstein, or maybe they'll read a Romeo and Juliet about the heart, or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll do group projects, and they'll do all 4 of them will do the project together. Like usually once per quarter, they're going to do a group project for the entire academy. And what that is they're trying to, and that's what you don't have. When you have an English class or math, science, or social studies, they're all separate, right? Everyone's doing their own different thing and that sort of thing. Within the academy, we're trying to be universal, trying to be themed, and trying to get everything together. So as a student, when we're working on something, it's going to try to correlate with the other ones across the board. And the teachers are planning this together. And in no other places do we have that. So that's why it's going to be very, very different in that manner.
So essentially, you think about like an Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 class, you're going to be learning the content, but it's going to be geared with a lens that looks through like medical concepts. I mean, in an example that we've kind of looked at is talking to some experts, looking at like the metric system, or like count, like when you go to the doctor and they give you pills, being able to figure out how many pills you need, in relationship to how much medicine you need based on fractions. And so we would be looking at those parts that is going to be important for when you move into the medical field. And that's just, that's obviously an easy, small example, but that's the type of, work that the teachers are going to be doing. And then on top of it, like Mr. Youngblood mentioned, the whole process of working together. So, they're overlapping. And at that time, going back to what we talked about before, that then again allows them to have a pulse on how the students are doing as well, because those teachers are constantly talking about what's happening, not only with the curriculum, but with the students.
I feel like it's very hands-on. Is that correct?
Yes.
I feel like when you're hands-on and you get to see it for yourself in front of you, you have a better understanding and a better learning rather than just reading it out of a book. You get to like explore other things.
In the medical and the science field, that does lend itself quite easily to that, because that's what it is. You go to the doctor's office, or you see the EMS, or you go to the trainer, occupational therapy or physical therapy. It's hands-on. It's the body systems. It's knowing about medicine. It's knowing about well-being and getting better. So all those things. And you're right. As a student, that's the best way to learn is to do it. To do it and get in there and do those things. So that's the big hope for that as well.
Now, what other advantages can students take out of this?
I think the skills that they're going to learn. I'm real big on, like, and kind of you mentioned like that, the hands-on. A lot of times how we learn is not because we were successful. You learn through your failures. So having that ability to do something hands-on and watching it fall apart and overcoming that, and then doing that in this structure with these teachers that are going to help you, and then also in the team aspect that's going to take place, I think that's going to allow for students to take risks. And I'm a big proponent of taking risks. Because if you're going to be comfortable all the time, you're not pushing yourself to your maximum ability. Now, I'm now also not saying that you take so many risks academically that it's too much. There's definitely a balancing act, but this program is going to allow students to be able to take those risks, have kind of like, I talk a lot with my students about you have training wheels still in high school. We're there to help you. And when it's time for you to graduate, more of those training wheels start to fall off. We're going to be able to kind of help our kids move through this process and like the soft skills of being able to communicate. Because again, we're moving into a time where a lot of our students are leaving and they're struggling a little bit with the communication part, and being able to have conversations, sit down and work in a team, communicate through and problem solve. And then I mentioned before, grit, to be able to overcome obstacles is another piece of this. And then obviously when we talk about medical, a lot of times you talk about like bedside manner, like being humble and being able to communicate in a way that's passionate and compassionate towards other people, and how you're kind of working through that. And you learn that through, obviously working in a team, because sometimes you're going to be in a team where you might not always agree with everything that other person has, but being able to still work through that. That's an important life skill.
Right. Now, with all this important information, is there another source parents or students can go to if they have questions to find more info about HHS?
Yes, we'll have more information on our website, uticahigh.uticak12.org/HHS.
Now, is there anything else you guys want to include about the topic of HHS?
Well, the one thing we will say, we are anticipating accepting 90 freshman students from our junior highs. Mr. Kranzo and myself will be meeting with all the 8th grade students throughout the entire district next week. It's a great opportunity. We're really, really excited about it. I do want to give a special thanks to Mr. Leitz, the previous principal who started this process along with Mr. Kranzo, and I'm just kind of here at the tail end to help finish it. So I do appreciate all the work that he's done.
We're really looking forward to it. I'm excited for our students, but I'm also excited for like our staff, and the staff that we bring in, the teachers, just because I do believe that when you have something new, it allows you to kind of freshen up, and almost like you get a refresh and a restart. So the teachers that are going to be a part of this, I feel like they're going to get a lot of professional development and training that and they're going to be excited about doing this, and it's going to be a very dynamic and a great program to bring to Utica High School.
That's honestly an amazing program. I just learned so much right now. Well, thank you both of you for being out here today and explaining more about HHS.
Thanks, Mekhi. I really appreciate the time, and good luck on the rest of your junior year.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And for UCS Podcademy, I'm Mekhi Kattula, and we'll see you all next time.
UCS Podcademy is a resource created by Utica Community Schools, Michigan's second largest school district located in Macomb County. Thank you for listening. UCS Podcademy is always available at uticak12.org/Podcademy. Through this website, you'll be able to listen to additional episodes and access any resources and show notes featured in this episode. If you have episode recommendations, we invite you to send them via email to ucs@uticak12.org.